What's good, everybody? This is Ghost in the Room back again on the Moment of Truth YouTube channel. Today I'm going to jump right on into it. The topic is going to be art and controversy. Um, this is not intended to be a how to be controversial video. This is also not intended to be a do's and don'ts of controversy. This is really just kind of an overview. I'm going to give a couple of examples of how different artists have used their talents and their skills to speak on things that could be considered controversial. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into these controversies for you.
Only girl that gave me a try. Now I regret it cause I broke her heart.
In the mid 1900s, a French artist by the name of Marcel Duchamp decided he wanted to challenge the school of thought in the art world at the time. He did this by submitting a piece called Fountain, which is a ready-made, a urinal. He took a urinal, put it on a pedestal, and he submitted it to the Society of Independent Artists as artwork. He went under a pseudonym. He didn't use his real name, and his whole point was he was challenging how people actually decided what was real art, what was good art, what was acceptable, what can be censored versus not censored. He didn't like the censorship that he saw happening to other artists' work at the time. So he did this, and it really was controversial at that point in time. I mean, if somebody did it today, probably wouldn't be all that crazy. But back then, that was a big statement, and it trailblazed the way for many artists to come after him. So Marcel Duchamp definitely made his mark in history by doing that. It's something so simple, but so controversial. Another artist who went into the controversy category is Andres Serrano. Now, what he did was not necessarily the image, but it was a combination of what he was depicting in his artwork and what he used to make it that made it controversial. So the image was of the crucifixion. It was an image of Jesus Christ on the cross, and it had this kind of a reddish yellowish tint to it. Well, turns out what Serrano did was he took this image and he dipped it in his own urine, and let it dry out most likely, and sent it as his art piece. And he titled it "Pissed Christ." This obviously pissed off a lot of Christians, a lot of Catholics, dubbed as blasphemous. People wanted to burn it down, burn the piece, boycott it and everything. Very extreme thing to do. So that using urine as a medium for a religious figure, definitely controversy. In 2016, an artist by the name of Kelly Walker had an exhibit here in the city of St. Louis titled Direct Drive. This particular exhibit sparked a lot of outrage, and actually many artists, black artists specifically, called for the Contemporary Art Museum to shut it down and take down the exhibit. Now, the reasoning behind this, I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm actually going to drop a link to a story on it. But basically, Kelly Walker's a white male who took these images. He took some images from the civil rights movement of black people getting brutalized by the police. He also has some images from Vibe magazine. He had like Khalees and Trina, who were on the covers of that magazine. And what he did was he took some toothpaste, he took milk, he took chocolate, and all these other things, and he smeared them on all these images. Then he scanned the images and blew them up really big and put them on display. And obviously at this point in time, this was 2016. Mind you, Ferguson and Michael Brown's murder had only happened about 2 years prior. Protests were still going on. The wound was still wide open in the city. Police brutality was still this topic of conversation. So you can only imagine what a lot of people were feeling at that point in time. So like I said, I'm not going too much into detail on it in this video. I'm dropping a link to the story. You guys kind of read on to see what happened, what he did that really pissed people off even further. And it's a prime example of what not to do if you're going to be controversial. So what I just went over were more so the visual artist side of controversy. I was thinking about including some musical controversial situations, but man, that's a whole nother video, to be honest with you. You guys kind of get the point though. Maybe I will do another video. I might hit up King Major and we might do a collaboration video on that. Who knows? But thank you guys for watching. If you can think of some other controversial moments in art history or recent art history, whatever, go ahead and drop it in the comments. And I'm still working on the portrait I started last week, so just bear with me. It just takes a while to make good art. Thank you guys for getting us to 50 subscribers. We need 50 more to hit our goal by the end of this year, so I know we can do it. We appreciate everybody who watches and supports. Peace and love. I'm out. Have a good night.